Zoom. Man, that fucking quad engine does not sound good. It's a quad. And it doesn't sound like it's doing too well. The struggle bike, yeah. Ooh. No, they're not riding quads through my backyard, just near it. Sounds like me on the toilet after eating Taco Bell. Anyway, what's going on, y'all? Good evening, as it were. Welcome to another uplifting episode of Highdeology. Cock-a-doodle-doo, motherfuckers. Why are you cock-a-doodling and doing? Time is it for me? Something like 7:30, 7:45, something like that. D is doing good. He's inside right now. He'll probably come out at some point. But he's doing good. Doing real good. Bullshit. Aliens are coming. Dun. The aliens are coming. It's like the big data drop, right? Where the US is like declassifying all its UFO shit. What if I'm the alien? What a twist. What a goddamn twist that would be. Now, wouldn't it? What a goddamn twist. You're the alien? Are you the alien, though? Are you really the alien? Are you really the alien, though? Are you really? Stone Caterpillar, please. Control yourself. Look, all the other ladies and gentlemen in the chat are controlling themselves despite my magnetic sexuality. And you're the only one that seems to have outbursts. Look, I have to look at myself while I'm doing this. I mean, you think I don't know? A swooning on me? So I got a question. Does the anecdote you told about the homeless lady you tried to donate to as a kid affect your current stance on donating to homeless folks? It affects personally, like how I go about doing that. Yeah, it does. Faded to next week? Baby, I'm wasted. And all I wanna do is make love to you, baby. I'm faded. No, I'm fine. I'm just a little high. A little bit tired. I noticed because people like to make it hard for people like me and my mates. Weeks of food, water, money, weed. Our sign says anything helps. Well, I understand that. But you being a busker and a dirty kid or whatever the fuck, you understand that a lot of your compatriots aren't out there for food, water, or anything else. They want cash, right? I mean, the hustle bustle is well known. There was a dude that lived here in Madera when I was a teenager, and everybody in fucking town knew that this dude had a house. And he would stand at the entrance exit point off the main drag into the Walmart parking lot every fucking day. And he was like mythology. People would, like, I personally have seen him get picked up in nice fucking cars. Like, the dude was out there panhandling and lived in a house. You know what I mean? So it's like, look, I wish that we lived in a world where you could trust people at their word, but we don't. And that's unfortunately. Yeah, crack is whack, yo. No, I understand, but like, you also understand that there are a lot among you. And when I say you, I'm talking about the community that you self identify with, which is the homeless community, who are there because they are self medicating mental illness with drugs. That is the cycle of desperation that a lot of homeless people are in. And drugs will cause you to fucking use whatever the fuck you can to get money to get drugs. So you have to understand, like, when it comes to wanting to actually help a person, sometimes putting $20 in somebody's fist could kill a person. You might have handed them the $20 they needed to get enough whatever the fuck it is of theirs to fucking sign off on. Yeah, no, I didn't say anything about that. I understand that homeless people are in various states of ability to have material goods and keep them. How do you put an end to that? How do you put it? You don't. So knowing that it exists, right? Knowing that this kind of hand to mouth panhandling culture exists. And if you want to help the people that are caught in that cycle, you vet a local mutual aid org or charity and you give your $5 to them instead. And there's a better chance that that five bucks hits the plate of a homeless person as a hot meal or ends up as part of a roof over a homeless person's head, etc. Ban all booze. Yes, yes, that fixes it all. I mean, Phoebes, there's organizations to help the homeless. Maybe not in every tiny little town, but regional organizations that help the homeless. It becomes not even about the homeless people in your specific region or your specific town. It becomes about the homeless people in your region. And there are very few regions in the United States that don't have some kind of homeless shelter program or mutual aid org. So it's like you could take your $20 and drop it in the panhandler's cup and roll your dice. And you know what? Like, I don't even look at panhandling the same way as I look at busking. Busking is way different. Like, busking to me is, sitting out and, providing something in exchange for the donations that you get. Panhandling is not that. I guess. I don't know, man. A direct donation could do the same thing in one of these bad areas that you're talking about that don't have a whole lot of mutual aid that it could do in one of these areas that do. You might put $20 in the cup of somebody who goes and fires that up their arm and dies from it. You see? There's a fucking there's a moral conundrum at work here. I don't discourage donations. I'm just being honest about homelessness and the roots of it and what happens as I can be and as I understand it. We've talked about buying homeless people a meal before. I look homeless, thanks. It's a vibe. Homeless people need cash, yes. Understood. I don't know, Phoebes. I think that you like you want to get accusatory with me, then let's get accusatory. I think that you glamorize your way of living a lot. And I think that you assume and make assumptions from your perspective that people who are homeless are doing homelessness the same way that you do it. I think when you hear people say, don't give money to people who are panhandling for fucking money, it makes you angry because you are good naturedly asking for that money and will probably put it in your gas tank or in your stomach. But you refuse to admit the cycle of drug abuse that keeps so many people in your position. And you refuse to admit that panhandling donations are a huge part of that cycle of drug abuse. You're not subsisting a person if all they do is take your money out and go buy crack with it. That's fine. The organizations that support everything, Phoebe, need reform. I don't think that there's an organization out there functioning at 100% efficiency and 100% maximum fucking empathy for people. But I'm telling you, Phoebe, and you're not going to convince anybody in here otherwise, putting $20 in the cup of somebody who's going to shoot it up their arm is not helping them. And a lot of people give under the false pretenses that that person's going to take that $20 out of their styrofoam cup and go to McDonald's and get some fucking hamburgers with it or some shit. When the truth of the matter is, oftentimes that person takes that money, adds it to the rest of the money they got, and goes and scores with it and spends all night fucked up and then gets up the next day and does it again. And you know where that ends, in a crater and a grave in the potter's field. Don't tell me I don't know anything about the fucking homelessness. You don't have to experience homelessness like Phoebe in order to understand the basic tenets of homelessness. So, I know it happens a lot. So let's get past this fucking don't give your money to a mutual aid org because they need to be reformed. Fuck that. You know what else needs to be reformed? People that are on the streets living fucking shoot up to shoot up. The system that allows that to slip through the cracks. These organizations, whether you like them or not, provide a fucking shelter over people that need it, provide a fucking hot meal for people that need it. And yeah, sometimes that comes with fucking indoctrination and shit. And I'm all for what you said the other night about vetting your local shelter and making sure that they treat people decent. But this idea that, like, you can make some kind of moral... Like, let me ask you this, Phoebes. You came in here tonight saying, like, oh, yeah, me and my friends are straight up with it, man. We take $20. You know, if you gave us $20, that's going straight to food. If you brought us food, we'd accept that. And that's great. But you know for a fucking fact that that's not the homeless person next to you. That's not the homeless people that you run into in your travels. Not all of them, anyway. And so you have to recognize the moral conundrum that comes with somebody. I don't have tons of money, but I got a little extra cash on me and I give it to a homeless person. I don't want to be the fucking $5 that made their nut to shoot up. That didn't help them. I don't want to be the $5 that got them over the hump for their rock, because that didn't help them. I don't want to be the $5 that got them over the hump for their next fifth at the fucking liquor store, because I didn't help them. I perpetuated a cycle of degradation and violence on the streets for them with my money. I hurt them with my dollars. And there's no fucking way that I would look at you and your friends and know any fucking different about you. And there's no way for me to make that moral judgment. The homeless person that's going to go shoot up would say the same shit you say. No, I'm not. I don't have a drug problem. Absolutely not. I'm going to go buy some food as soon as I get enough money scraped together to feed me and my friends. They'd say the same shit. And how am I to fucking judge the veracity of that? And make a moral judgment that you and your friends aren't going to go get all fucking smacked out tonight on what I paid. And one of you croaks and ends up in the potter's field. May as well put my name on the tombstone. I do have a drug problem. I smoke more weed than I should. Should I be allowed to? I didn't... See, that's the thing, Phoebe. You're putting words in my mouth like other people do when I'm arguing. When did I fucking say you shouldn't be allowed to panhandle or busk? I didn't. I'm not making a prescriptive fucking claim here. I'm telling you what I think about giving homeless people direct fucking donations of cash versus saving that fucking money and putting it towards a mutual aid organization. There's no fucking enumerated right for or against asking somebody for help. One night a homeless lady asked for money to buy a pizza. I just walked in that 7-Eleven with that lady, told the worker it was for her, and that was that. I've done similar things before and had people accept food from me. I try and make that decision on the fly as I go, but giving cash is something I hardly ever fucking do. Because somebody can throw a fucking pizza away or only eat a bite of it or two and keep going back to the hustle, and they're not going to be able to take that half-eaten pizza to their dealer and trade it for something that's going to fucking kill them. So if you're going to do something for homeless people, even though, as Phoebe says, it's better for them to have cash to trade in, it would be my fucking advice to you to give to a mutual aid org that's going to help take care of these people, or make a direct donation of goods that are easy to carry and non-perishable. Canned food is only as good as the can opener that homeless person has a fucking access to. Sometimes canned food is nothing but just dead weight. I didn't. Oh my fucking god! I didn't say you can't open a can without a can opener. There you go, dipshit. Yeah, it's way hard. It's not that hard, man. Okay, dude. I mean, yeah, you guys can listen to Phoebe, or you can fucking have your opinion about it. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, I know what I know about that because I've worked for an organization and donated to an organization that made food backpacks for homeless people around the holidays and would distribute them around to people who were sleeping on the streets during the holidays. They were meant to be easily portable and light so that these people could schlep them around and actually use the things that were in them. They had little hand sanitizers and soaps and, wet wipes in them. Each backpack had a jacket in it, like a nice medium light jacket to throw on. Each backpack had some food in it, some non-perishable light food, some water. Homeless shelters often do provide jobs or job training. The homeless shelter that I used to work for and donate money to, I didn't work for them. I volunteered for them. Used to train people that came through the shelter that wanted it on how to work on cars. They accepted donations of old cars. In fact, I donated one of my old cars to that homeless shelter because they took donations of old cars so that they could run classes for people who were interested on how to do basic things to cars and maybe get people started down the road of getting an actual job in that. And so the homeless people that worked there would help to fix up a car. They would get the knowledge from it, and then the homeless shelter itself would sell that car and use the proceeds from the car to fund the homeless shelter. So one of the major donations that I made to that place was giving one of my old cars to them. The Dodge Daytona that I had, in fact, ended up there because there was no way. I didn't feel right even selling it to people, and I told them that. I told them, I said, this car is pretty close to non-drivable. I mean, it'll be okay to get down to you, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm not giving you guys a car that you're going to be able to use right away. And they were like, oh, no, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for cars that need to be fixed up. So absolutely, even if we just use it for parts on another car. You know, it's an American car from the 90s. There's a lot of stuff on that we can use on other cars. And yeah, and they came and fucking picked it up. Brought a flatbed and picked it up. Gave me my tax sheet and everything right there. And I fucking, zoop, off it went. No, it's all good, Phoebes. Oh, well, that's awesome. I think there needs to be a way to work homeless shelters and trades schooling together. Trades are in huge demand, provide good pay, and make at least me feel proud. Sure. Well, I mean, look, like, not, I have to imagine that not a lot of homeless people came out of that shelter and went on to be successful mechanics and shit. That being said, the opportunity is what matters to me, not necessarily the efficacy rate. Some people, and I'm not trying to say this about all homeless people, but some people will not be helped. They just won't be. And no amount of teaching or trying to funnel their energy towards something that is going to self-improve is going to break the cycle of self-degradation that they're in. You know, anybody that's come out of the homeless shelter that I donated to and spent time donating time to, that came out of there with a career working on cars or turned their life around, did so of their own fucking volition. But the opportunity provided for people to make that very tough change in their life is what's missing. Random, but I just saw the Peewee crack thing you guys did. My mom was a surrogate for someone who lived next to him when he was younger. Bought the house when he moved. He had pet raccoons he fed. And they still feed those raccoon descendants to this day. That's cool. No, I really have a lot of respect for Pee Wee Herman. And like I know the guy, like you could tell the guys reacted to that Pee Wee Herm anti-drug PSA differently than I did because I was a kid back then. And I don't know if either of the guys really grew up watching a whole lot of Pee Wee, and I was right in that age demo when he was on there, man. I was right the right age to watch Pee Wee, and he was real important to me. You know, I put him in the same fucking wheelhouse, maybe not on the same level as Mr. Rogers and Big Bird and all of that when I was a kid, you know. And I think a lot of people forget that because of the salaciousness of how Pee Wee's career ended and how weird he is now, you know what I mean? Or not weird he is now, but just how weird, like, the character of Pee Wee Herman is now, given kind of the shift in culture and stuff. But when I was a kid, man, Pee Wee Herman was right up there, like I said, with fucking Mr. Rogers and all the characters on Sesame Street and LeVar Burton. You know, these were people when I was a kid that I looked up to. Those PBS personalities were super important, and Pee Wee was never on PBS. Pee Wee was like a Saturday morning cartoon guy, but it shows educational and fun and wacky and funny, and, you know, Bill Nye the Science Guy, kind of in the same vein. You know, so I think Pee Wee gets a big bum rap. Felt really bad that getting caught stuff really derailed his whole career, and he was never the same afterwards. Yeah, and he didn't even really get caught doing anything. Like, that's the thing. Like, at the time, it was like pervert Pee Wee because, like, I guess Pee Wee's supposed to be some like sexless dude in real life, right? I mean, the poor fucking guy went to a porn stroke theater where that's what they exist for. They show porn movies so that you can quietly sit there in the dark and jerk off. And he got busted doing that. And it came out in the fucking newspaper, and he got fucking booked for indecent exposure and shit. And he looked all bad because his career had gone bad. And everybody was like, ew, Pee Wee was always a creep. And like, I pinned all this shit to him. And it's just not true. Like, Paul Reubens has had his fucking problems. That's the man who plays Pee Wee, by the way. But he's a fucking talent. You know what I mean? Like, the guy, you can't deny that. Anybody who's ever seen Pee Wee's Big Adventure knows that the dude is a fucking talent. Like, that's a kid's movie that holds up as an adult movie. No, it wasn't dick on stage. Not at all, Zach. He was a private dude. He wasn't even doing it as Peewee. He went to a fucking porn theater and was sitting in the dark beating off. Probably because he had a hard time getting a date because he was Pee-wee Herman. And chicks that, you know, he wanted to fuck probably grew up watching him and couldn't see anything but Pee-wee Herman. And so he was in a fucking porn theater just stroking off. And he got busted for indecent exposure and public masturbation or whatever. And his mugshot was all over the fucking news. And everybody was saying Pee-wee's a fucking pervert and this, that, and the other thing. And it like ruined his career. It ruined the credibility of that character in people's eyes over nothing. He was just fucking jerking off, like, and not in public, not outside of a school or some shit, in a fucking porn theater with a porn movie ass bouncing on the fucking screen in front of him, you know what I mean? With a bunch of other fucking lonely dudes that were probably doing the same shit in there. So dumb he got in trouble over that. And that was before everyone had porn on their phones, or that never would have happened. What else are porn theaters for, right, Zach? Yeah, no, Pee-wee got fucking straight up railroaded, no joke. Yeah, shout out to his part in Cheech and Chong. Shout out to his anti-drug PSAs back in the day, even though they're funny to look at now. He was really speaking to a lot of fucking kids, and hearing somebody like Pee-wee say something like that had weight behind it. Whether or not kids followed it, I can't tell you. I got to tell you, some of them probably did. And if he stopped 2 or 3 fucking kids from taking crack because they remembered Pee-wee saying that crack is whack, then good on him. At least he was out there trying to do something about it. At that time, crack was fucking absolutely destroying the impoverished inner cities in America. So it's easy to look back at the fucking serious tone of Pee-wee Herman talking about crack and how whack it is and shit, and laugh at the absurdity of that. But if you put it in the context of the time, I mean, it was an absolutely fucking horrifying time for young people. Young people were dying in droves in the streets from this fucking crack shit. Of course, you know, and so anyway, whatever. Kind of a tragic tale there. Kind of cancel culture in a pre-cancel culture era. I mean, I don't even really think that would get a dude canceled now, to be honest with you. Maybe a dude that works adjacent to children like Pee-wee did. I mean, that probably doubled down on people's false disgust at Pee-wee masturbating. It was just like, oh, he works with kids and he's watching porn? Oh, what does that mean? You know, it's like, what? What do you mean? What, like, is everybody that worked, do you think Mr. Rogers didn't fuck? You know, like, what does that mean? Like, dude wasn't watching child porn or some shit. He was watching he was in a porn theater watching adults fuck. In cancel culture, people like to ignore that George Carlin was literally arrested by the police for offensive language. Yeah. I mean, if you want to really look at a fucking pioneer in that regard, Lenny Bruce is the person to look at. Lenny Bruce was arrested I don't know how many fucking times for just saying cuss words on stage. Yeah, he was arrested. Apparently, I think the bar for getting canceled today is around what Louis C.K. did, probably. No, because Louis C.K. wasn't canceled. Louis C.K. had a temporary fucking like pause in his fucking career, handled it probably as best as he could by just being honest about it in a really uncomfortable way. Waited for a while and then came back and just kept doing what he was doing. And now Louis C.K. is fine again. He may not ever get to the level that he was at before, but that might have been his only chance at that shit anyway. So I don't think Louis C.K. is the standard for being canceled. You know, cancel culture tends to affect people that aren't as rich and famous, unless it goes to a trial. So like Weinstein is what I would call the fucking peak of cancel culture, right? This is a dude who did some shit that quite frankly was totally fucking normal in Hollywood. Not that it's right, it was just normalized in Hollywood, and then years later was held to account for that shit. Yep, Lenny Bruce was arrested by standards that like don't apply today. And standards that didn't even really apply then, to be honest with you. Ironic that Peewee Herman would tackle the subject of drugs since his show did not seem to have a very sober name. Yeah, I guess so. It does look a little drug-fueled when you look at it. It's wacky at Pee-wee's Playhouse. CK situation was lame. Dude has a specific fetish that he asked permission to do. The women let him do it and then later made him look bad for it. And his place of power was somehow used. So now has sex or fetishes if you're not a white dude with money. I don't know, man. I think the area is a little more gray than that, Zach. I mean, we can agree to disagree on that shit. You know, Louis C.K., at the time that he did this, was an incredibly popular stand-up. Okay, and here are the facts of the case. As Louis C.K., this isn't from the accuser. Louis C.K. has admitted to this. He approached these two female comics. He did not approach them and say like, hey guys, want to come to my fucking trailer and fuck around? Maybe I'll jerk off in front of you or something. He went up to them and were like, hey ladies, you want to come to my trailer and talk about your set tonight? And for them, that's like, whoa, Louis C.K. is taking an interest in my career. Of course I'm going to go fucking talk to the guy about my career. And then he gets him locked in his fucking, not locked, I'm not asking, he didn't keep him prisoner, but he gets him in his fucking trailer away from prying eyes. And within fucking 5 minutes of getting him in there, he's got his dick out. So, I understand this is not rape. I don't think it would rise to the level of a fucking sex crime. This is sexual, like, fucking harassment, which I guess is a sex crime. It was a trailer that he had after a comedy show. He invited them back to it after the comedy show under the auspices of like, hey, great set tonight, girls. You want to come talk comedy? And then they were both like, you know, yeah, sure, cool. Let's go to my trailer. And they went to Louis' trailer. And within 5 or 10 minutes of that fucking conversation inside the trailer, he had his dick out of his pants. And he's a guy that can make or break their fucking careers. So it's not just like, oh my God, you know, this is a fucking co-equal colleague of mine who just whipped their cock out. No, I'm leaving. Like these girls, like I'm not saying that they were forced to do anything by Louis C.K., but what I'm saying is that the position that they were in was not the same as if I just met you on the street. Right? If I walked up to somebody on the street and was like, hey, you want to come hang out with me for a minute? And that person wasn't turned off by that. And they were like, all right. And then within 5 minutes of hanging out with me, I've got my cock out of my pants. And I'm like, can I jerk off in front of you? there's a good chance that whoever that other person is going to be like, no, fuck off. I'm getting out of here. But if I'm a dude that could like take your career from middling comic to sitcom, you know what I mean? He's picking women from within that group. Well, so Louis C.K. can't find somebody on the fucking street that knows who he is and pull him in and see if they want to look at his cock. He's got to grab women that are in, not grab, but you know, understand. He's got to pull from the fucking people who ostensibly, like, he's got all this power over their fucking career. He's like the Wizard of Oz for people at that time. Louis C.K. tapped you on the shoulder, you were a millionaire. And these women are out there on the hustle bustle trying to make their fucking comedy careers work, and King Comedy brought him into the fuck, you know what I mean? No, neither of these women was he intimate with at all. It wasn't about his fetish. This wasn't about like, no, these women were not women that dated Louis C.K. and then came out later and were like, I'm, you know what I mean? No. These are women that like weren't dating Louis C.K. He brought them into a social situation under false pretenses and then turned it into a, hey, you want to look at my cock while I jerk off? Now, I'm not like, once again, Zach, I'm not saying, yeah, it does change it. I'm not saying it's rape. Obviously, it's not. They implied it was a nightcap. Right, whatever, yeah. Let's go have a fucking drink. We're all comedians. Whatever the fuck. It was not, and it was two ladies at once. And there were other women that came out that said that he'd done the same thing to them. So this was a common thing for Louis C.K. to go to women who worked in the fucking business that he worked in and pull his dick out in front of them. Which is not the end of the fucking world, but it's not fucking cool behavior either. If I was doing that shit, fucking you guys probably think I was a dick. Like if I was out there fucking like moving amongst other podcasters and shit and going to ones that I thought was hot, but they were like, you know, way below me in popularity, and I was like, hey, you want to talk podcasting with me? And then they say, sure, you know, thanks. And then the next thing I send them in the DM is a picture of me jerking off. If that shit came out about me, you guys would probably think I was a pretty fucked up dude. And that's pretty much what Louis C.K. did. So let's be real about what he did. The difference is that Louis C.K. fucking came out, admitted what he was doing was wrong. He didn't fucking defend himself on it. He admitted what he'd done. He admitted that it was fucking creepy and he shouldn't have done it. And that's that. I have a crystal ball, but I think that Louis was too simpish to fire people if they said no. I mean, who knows, though? These are not people, neither of these women technically worked for Louis C.K. They just worked in comedy, the realm which Louis C.K. had the fucking golden scepter in. Like I said, at this point in his career, Louis C.K. touches you on the fucking shoulder or makes a phone call for you to his agent. You're now a millionaire. You're not going on shows and shit. You got a break in the business. I don't think you should lose your career for something not cool. It's rude and disrespectful and disgusting for sure, but it's not something that should cause internet. I tend to agree with that, and Louis C.K. didn't lose his career. He still has a career. He's still a comedy writer, and he still does stand-up and shit. He may not ever be as popular as he was, but isn't that up to the people that fucking watched him to decide? He's not guaranteed popularity no matter what he fucking does behind the scenes. Not a bad guy, just a bit slimy. Sure. But does it mean if you pissed him off, your career was over? Who knows? The implication is hanging over it, though, isn't it? It's a question that you have to ask yourself if you're sitting in front of Louis C.K. in his trailer and he asks, can I pull my cock out and jerk off in front of you? that you wouldn't have to ask if he was anybody else. But if you're a comedian and Louis C.K. asks you that question, no matter how you react, that question has to be asked in your brain. Can this dude fuck my career up if I say no? Is this my chance? Like, do I just have to watch this guy jerk off and then I get to be a fucking millionaire? Is he gonna help my career if I do this? Is that the implication? You shouldn't put people in that type of position ever. Ever. Like, what little influence I have as a podcaster and shit, there are tons of people beneath where I'm at in the podcasting game. I would never go to one of those people under the auspices of having a friendly conversation about our work and then put that person in a sexual situation. Never. Just never happened. And I have remarkably less power and influence than Louis C.K. had at the time. So if I'm that considerate with what little bit of power and influence I have in the community I work in, how much more considerate do you think a guy like Louis C.K. needs to be upright and cool about shit, right? You wish somebody would put you in that situation. Well, you may find yourself feeling differently if you're ever put in that situation, Jay Sergi. Because it might not just be watch me jerk off. Yeah, he would get off the shock and shame, right? That's a red flag. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing that he liked about it. He liked springing the question on women. He liked putting them in a position where they wouldn't immediately run out, but feeling ashamed by doing it anyway. And that's what got him off, was them being kind of like not into it. He wanted women to kind of like watch him jerk off. That's his thing. And whatever, I'm not trying to kink shame or whatever, but if part of your fucking thing is shocking people with it, then it becomes a problem, right? If it's not a scene. And by scene, I mean, I'm using BDSM terminology there, where it's like you pre-consented to do this fucking thing, and I'm going to act shocked and, oh, I don't want to see that, and you're going to jerk off, and I'm going to act like I'm grossed out by it or whatever. That's fucking consenting adults in the bedroom doing a scene. That's fine, but Louis C.K. got off on the reality of it. Well, here's the difference, though, Zach. This actually came up last night, and it's an interesting topic, and I'm more than willing to talk about it. You're talking about me and my old lady, my wife, and her starting as a fan of my work, and now we're married, right? And there's a couple of very stark differences between that power dynamic and the one that we're describing in Louis C.K. Number one, I did not approach her. I didn't go out into my fan community and go like, ooh, anybody out there want to fuck? You know what I mean? She approached me. She sent me a fucking DM and we became friends and, right, consent. So I didn't approach her. I didn't know who she was until she approached me. She introduced herself as a fan of what I did, told me her age, sent me a picture of her booty. I was like, dizam. We ended up talking and becoming more friends than flirty situation, and we stayed that way for like 6 months. Yeah, we talked about the whole power dynamic thing last night. You actually can hear Amelia kind of talk about what she thinks about it as well. I mean, like, look, dude, claims can be what they are. Like, she could make any claim that she wanted if she left me. The proof's in the pudding. Like, unless she can't back up any fucking negativity from me. None of my DMs to her are anything but innocent DMs, even the sexual ones. These were all mutual adult sexual encounters and shit and sexting and all that type of stuff before we met. Like all that shit, like it just doesn't exist for me. Me going out there and being a creeper and being sexually aggressive and going out to my fans and trying to find people in that community and shit, that ain't, there's nothing, like no interest in that shit. And that, you know, so that's the difference between the Louis C.K. dynamic and the me and Amelia dynamic, or the TJ and Chelsea dynamic. TJ and Chelsea are another great example of this. TJ, even bigger and wider reach than me as an e-celeb. He didn't know about her. She came to him. She introduced himself or herself to him, and that's how they met. So it's like, it's tricky and nuanced, but you shouldn't assume all alleged victims are lying. What are we talking about? Like if so to go back to what Zach was saying, that situation could be released out of context. Like if Amelia was some kind of horrible person and broke up with me and decided to release some of her DMs out of context and say, this is Paul being creepy to me, blah blah blah, I have those DMs too. And so I could go back and be like, all right, well, here's the fucking context. Here's from the beginning of meeting, you know, but that's never going to happen. Amelia, if she was that type of person, I wouldn't be sitting here with her.
I would have done it already. I would have
Right.
waited until we got married and then did some shit to like coerce you into giving me half your money.
Yep. All right, motherfucker. And then like, what do you have on me that would have done that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put out pictures of your dick. It's like, well, that sucks, but I'm not giving you half of my money for it. Talking about what Z8 said. Okay, that's fine. One headline and you're done. Yeah, but in order for there to be a headline that has any fucking weight behind it, there has to be some fucking shady bullshit. And I don't do that. So you don't gotta worry about me. You know what I mean? There's no cancel bait. Like, you gotta do something that's like inappropriate in order to get canceled, in my opinion, for true. You've gotta fucking be creepy with somebody. You gotta be kind of dead to rights, being a shitbag, and you get canceled. It seems to be the way it works. We live in the age of receipts. You know what I mean? Text messages, voicemails, fucking private internet communications, all that shit is on the record in a way that it didn't used to be. So it leaves less room for the he said, she said, which is, you know, maybe a good thing in some ways. I hate this kind of like war that people have with one another, where at one point they were cool, now they're not cool, and they're having this DM war. Oh yeah, well you did. Like everybody's dirty laundry is getting fucking aired and shit. Like, to me, that's why I don't have DM communications with but a few fucking trusted people, because it's like, I'm not interested in that fucking dynamic, and that seems to be something that people fucking do nowadays, where it's like these internet relationships. And I'm not talking about all uses of DMs as receipts, by the way. I don't want to misconstrue this, but I'm just saying, like, these internet trysts tend to end with people dropping docs and DMing each other, and you get to see private DMs and shit. I hate that shit. I hate that shit, dude. What about you and Vosh?
How is that relevant to this conversation at all?
Yeah, what is that even about? What do you mean, what about me and Vosh? You mean, are you talking about me? Oh, that was lore. Okay, never mind. I was about to like try and ennoble his argument, but he was just, yeah, don't touch the poop. I didn't know that it was poop. It was just confusing poop, but Asbestos Fingers was on top of it. No, you don't have to don't unhide him, Asbestos. You were right. He's a known quantity around here.
So you can re-hide him.
I mean, I guess he was asking, like, what about me DMing Vosh? I said I only DM a few people that I trust. The only thing that's in my DMs with Vosh is, hey, when can you come on the show? Blah, 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 blah. Hey, I would like to come on the show again. All right, blah, 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 blah. You know, like, I use DMs in that context as a business person for other people that work in my fucking field and shit. If I'm coordinating, like, going on their show or having them on our show or whatever the fuck, I'll DM them. Yep.
There's a difference between, like, logistical DMs and fucking communication DMs.
Right. So. Dude. I will, dude, here we go. I'm gonna tell you guys the one potential quote unquote scandal that's in Paul's Ego's history. You ready for this? When I was single, the same time that Amelia and I were friends, and she knew about this before we got together, I talked to another chick. She was 26 at the time. And you want to judge me for this? She had a boyfriend. Call me the home wreck, murderer. I don't know. You know, you want to judge me morally for that. But we exchanged flirty texts and whatever, DMs and shit. Some sexual stuff. Like, there it is, dude. I know. Oh God, you devil.
Yeah.
So that is legitimately the most likely source of any kind of fucking DM docs drops that happen with Paul, and all you're gonna get to see is me talking about sex with a consenting adult. A fiver for the man himself, yeah.
For someone that was cheating on their boyfriend.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, I was technically probably cheating too.
At some point you were, but not for long.
Yeah, I ended it when it crossed that threshold.
When we crossed over from the flirty kind of internet stuff, which your boyfriend at the time was okay with, into we have feelings for each other, it was over pretty quick after that. Peepin' peaches, dude. Yeah. No, like, I won't cover up my prior knowledge of the boyfriend's existence at all. In fact, I'll highlight it. It was like this was kind of funny. This happened within 2 days. I met Amelia and we started talking. We had a very friendly, pretty non-sexual chat. But, you know, during that, I asked her, said, you see anybody? And she said, yep, I've got a boyfriend. And I was like, I'm sitting over there thinking, like, of course she's got a boyfriend. 2 days later, this other chick that I'm talking to, she was DMing me pretty fucking often. And all of a sudden one day she hadn't DM'd me all day. And so I just hit her up and I was like, hey, everything cool? You all right? You know, we've been talking pretty often recently and I haven't heard from you. You just busy? You know, and she hit me back. She was like, no, I'm just guilty. I feel guilty. And I was like, guilty about what? And she said, I'm afraid if I tell you, you're going to stop talking to me and I don't want you to stop talking to me. And I was like, let me guess. Let me guess. If I guess it, will you tell me? And she said, yeah. And I said, you've got a boyfriend or you're married. And she was like, how did you know? I was like, because I just had a fucking hunch. I was like, look, I don't give a fuck. I don't know your boyfriend. I mean, I don't typically look for situations like this, but I think you're cool. I don't mind talking to you. It's not like we're doing anything serious or anything, so.
But, I mean, as far as you know, that ended amicably, so.
Yeah, it ended amicably because I was just straight up honest with her. When shit started getting serious between me and you, she hit me up one day, and I knew I was gonna have to confront it. And I told you about the fact that I was doing it. This was after you and I had like gotten serious and had copped feelings and all that shit. And I said, I'm gonna go. I said today I'm gonna put to bed this other chick that I've been kind of DMing on the side. That's obviously over, and I gotta let her know. And that's exactly what I did. I hit her up one day, and I was like, hey, look, I hate to do this, but, you know, I like you as a friend and stuff, but, you know, you've got a boyfriend, and clearly you and I aren't going anywhere other than flirting, and that's cool. It's been fun, but I met somebody else, and I'm going to go ahead and go pursue that, and that kind of precludes us being the way we've been. And we parted on that, basically. She was not super happy about it, but she wasn't mad at me, you know, and that was that. So there you go. There's my the Paul's ego scandal revealed. It's just, you know, but that type of shit to me is totally fucking normal shit.
Yeah, I mean, like, how do you think most relationships end and start anew?
I mean, yeah. You know what I mean? I broke up. I was single for a while. Met some chicks. One of them turned out to be way better than the other one. Is Steal Your Girl gonna be the next single on Bearded Lesbians? Yep. The Scandalous Life of Peaches. I fell in love with an escort in Vegas and then ran out of cash. Turns out it was one-sided. Yeah, you think? You think so? Going steady. Going steady. Going steady. Going steady. Steady for good.
I guess, yeah, just to clarify, Paul and I don't have the same relationship that me and my ex did. I don't hit up other dudes because I don't feel like I need to, because it's a healthier relationship.
Right. And, you know, that doesn't, like, the particulars of, like, I don't have the same type of relationship with Amelia that I've had with other people I've been with. Amelia and I have our own set of rules and our own set of regulations that we both abide by, and that's that. Precludes us, you know, being out there in that type of way. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Going steady, steady for good. He's in love with Kim. Kim's in love with him. I guess I'm just possessive AF. Cheating is an instant breakup for me. What's mine is mine, you know.
Like, we're not saying that that's wrong necessarily. Like,
nor did either one of us cheat on each other.
Yeah.
So.
Like, we're saying that, you know, like, it crossed into the cheating zone with me, and then I broke it off after it crossed into the cheating zone.
I mean, the situation between you and your boyfriend was different between the situation between this other girl and her boyfriend. Her boyfriend had no fucking clue what was going on. And she was straight up about that from the jump. He was not cool with her talking to other people. He would not like her fucking talking to me and shit. And so it was basically, like, it was fun, but it was a dead end. It wasn't going anywhere. She wasn't leaving her dude, and I wasn't going to be the side dude. You know what I mean? And so it never went beyond the initial fucking talking phases.
Yeah. I mean, that's true, Ingrid. Like, ultimately, people cheating is no one else's goddamn business.
Dude, more people than you fucking know have done it. Like, so many people cheat, and it's not even like, it's only so few that you hear about where it blows up into a public event. Most of the time, people cheat, they never get caught. They're never pinned down doing it, or if they are caught or suspected of it, you never hear about it because you just hear they broke up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's just like, you have to understand, human beings, I don't think, evolved to be monogamous. That doesn't mean we're capable of it. Doesn't mean we're capable of overcoming that fucking instinct. But there's every reason to believe that we human beings are pretty much like any other animal on the planet, especially the males of the species and the females. When it comes to, the females of the species look for a partner that they find traits in that they would like to pass along.
Mm-hmm.
And the males of the species look for partners of the same type. They look, the attraction that a male of the human species has towards a female of the human species, or really anybody, is a desire to breed. It's like a desire to pass on your genetic. That's why sex is desirable and why it feels so good.
And then cheating in same-sex relationships, obviously the reproduction drive isn't there, but there's still...
Well, the reproduction drive is still there. It's just misaligned towards reproducing. Like, I can't reproduce. That doesn't mean I don't want to fuck.
Yeah.
And
I guess you could say that gay people, I don't know what the exact mechanics are, but...
I don't either. I've never been in a gay relationship. I do know that promiscuity is more prevalent in gay relationships.
Mainly in
male gay relationships than it is in other arrangements. And that's, I think that probably speaks to what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That males of the species tend to wander. But it's not only male, like I just got done telling you, I was approached by women who had boyfriends, and so it's like, it really is fascinating. It's an interesting fucking topic. But once again, it's just like, it precludes judgment for me. I've known people that have cheated. I've engaged in behavior from both sides that I would consider to be cheating. On my end, I've never done any like super hard cheating. I've never gone and fucked around on somebody, and neither has Amelia.
I mean, you've admitted, we're kind of in the same place I was with Ashley. Like, we're...
Yep. Like, when I was still married, and Ashley and I met. We started off as friends, and then it got flirty, and I spent this, couple of weeks in limbo after I copped feelings with her, still in my relationship, going like, what the fuck am I doing? And then I got the fuck out. If anything, it was like the last little kick out the door, because I was sitting right at the doorsill for months and months and months, and actually feeling like feelings for somebody again in a relationship that was functionally pretty dead. That was what it took. It's like, oh, okay, I'm alive again.
Yep.
Like, I'm in like, there's actually somebody out there that wants to be around me. Fucking A.
Yeah, I was in, like, my relationship was probably dead for like 6 months before I started talking to you.
Sure.
So.
Mine was dead for longer, but there's no judging on that. I was also married and with my ex for longer, and so it's like, is what it is. It's hard to describe real life breakups to people who haven't experienced it. Oh man, yeah, there's no good guys and bad guys in breakups. There's this old aphorism, it takes two to tango, and that is like true. There's always two narratives in a breakup, even in people who try to be as objective as possible and aren't really looking to snipe at one another. If you talk to two people and get their breakup stories, you're going to hear two different fucking things. And so you have to understand that perception is 100% of reality in relationships. And how shit goes down is a matter for you to either decide for yourself based on the evidence or to just keep the fuck out of. I go with option B. I'm in my first relationship and haven't experienced a breakup yet. I'll need to steel myself. Well, the fact that you're in your first relationship and you're saying like, I need to prepare myself for what a breakup feels like. Some people get in one relationship and they stay together forever. I mean, it's not common, but it does happen. Like, sometimes people meet each other and they're just compatible and they end up staying together. So the fact that you're feeling that kind of trepidation in your relationship might mean that you might want to accelerate the process.
Yeah, like
it's not like you're already
a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, you you might want to just do it and just break up if you're already thinking that way. Because it seems like some part of your mind has already made your mind up about that. And I will tell you, nothing is served by staying in relationships that have gone by the wayside, one way or the other, other than compounding your pain.
You could be misinterpreting that it might just be normal anxiety about the course of life.
Maybe, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know. Just be careful with that shit. Listen to your gut in relationships. And that doesn't necessarily mean like leave as soon as you have the inkling to do it, but that just means like if your overall impression is like, I'm not going to be happy with this person, then tell them that and leave. Don't fucking drag it out for longer. Once you know that, because all you do is compound your pain by refusing to admit what you know. Trust me, I've been down that road of, well, you know, I feel this way, but I'm going to make it work. And kind of deluding myself into like, oh, we'll get this counseling, or oh, I'll try this, or oh, we'll do this, or oh, we'll do that. And it never works. And when you look back at it in retrospect with the benefit of hindsight, you see that you were basically just delaying what you knew was inevitable. And all of those attempts, while good-natured as they may have been, were just forestalling what you knew was already a problem. And that is so true of my first marriage. When I look back at it with the benefit of hindsight, I see the trajectory of it being really bad. Not like all the times I had with my ex were bad. We were a good couple. We complemented each other in a lot of ways. But behind the scenes was tumult and anger and misunderstanding and constant miscommunication and a constant ping pong game of expectation that was neither one of us was ever able to meet. And all of this shit, none of that stuff is written on your face as a couple. So to all of our friends and all of our family, my ex-wife and I presented as a very happy couple. And there were a lot of times that we were. It wasn't like an act all the time. But when things went sour between us, we got into this, and this is one of the things I regret most, because looking back on it, it just feels so wrong. We got into this sick ritual of not even really talking to each other, but then when we had a family function or some kind of function where we had to go together, pretending like we were all... holding hands and oh yes, you, oh Paul, you know, like that type of shit. And then going home and just basically separating. And that's one of the more like, I don't know what a better word to put other than yucky. Like, I know it's kind of a kid type of word, but really like it just feels gross looking back on it to pretend for everybody that you're okay when you're not.
I mean, ultimately, what we've learned is that communication constantly is the key to any good relationship.
I mean, it doesn't have to be like constant, but yeah, like a commitment to constantly checking in with one another and having conversations about how you feel and what's going on and what the problems are, and you know, like that's what it takes in order for people to remain in these types of fucking relationships. And when that falls apart in one way or another, that's when the relationship goes bloop. And how long you ride the corpse of that relationship is up to you. But once they're dead, they're dead. The best thing to do after a breakup is to learn from it. Yep. And alter your standard. I mean, I don't know about your standards. Your standards may not be the problem. You know what I mean?
I think they probably mean more like expectations. That might be a better way to put it.
Sure. Maybe. You got to learn from it. I definitely agree with that. Being more prescriptive than that is like implying knowledge about a person, because, you know, looking back at some of the relationships that I've been in that failed, I don't think I was bad at selecting a partner. I really don't. I don't think I was like I made some kind of negative, horrible choice. All the people that I've been with are decent. You know what I mean? They're all decent folks. I have no animosity for any of them, and I definitely didn't leave any of those relationships feeling like I was like not one half of the fucking pie that caused the problem. You know what I mean? And so it's like, how do you contextualize that to other people and come up with some idea about who's right and wrong in a fucking breakup? Yeah, you got to listen to Mazzy Star. You got to put Fade Into You by Mazzy Star on and listen to that and cry a little bit. Put it on repeat. It's the perfect breakup song. You got to get, it's like the 7 stages or whatever of grief. You got to go through all that, or the 8 stages of grief, or whatever it is. It's a mini death. It really is. Like, my mom explained that to me one time. My first big relationship ended. My mom was one of the only people who I talked to about my feelings about that. And when they came out in just a big flood, because she's my mom, right? And so I feel more comfortable crying in front of her than most people. And it's just like, it wasn't like me threatening to kill myself. It's just like, I want to die. I feel like I just want to shrivel up and fucking croak, and I just fucking this, that, and the other thing. And, it was really like her that made me aware of that for the first time.
Yeah, it's a grieving process.
Right. She was like, it's like a death. And I sat and I listened to her, and she explained like the parallels between losing her mother and father and losing her marriage to my father. Mm-hmm. And how there was the same level of grief, like this, or maybe not the same level, but the same kinds of grief involved. And she explained to me what that was like. It was like a wound that was on you, and when you get a cut, for the first couple of days it's wide open and raw, and then the next day it starts to crust over. And then she said in days or months sometimes when you're talking about a breakup, but it's the same principle. You get a cut, you're wounded, it heals over, it leaves a scar on you, and that scar is what you've learned. And you move forward. And she said, and she told me, she said, PJ, because I was telling her shit like, no woman's going to want me. She's like, I was lucky to get the one that I had, and she didn't want me, and now nobody's going to want me. And she's like, PJ, you're fucking being ridiculous. She's like, a lot of women are going to want you. And of course, I still haven't had a conversation about my bisexuality to my mom, but she, understand this is where it was coming from with her. There are plenty of women that are going to want you. You're young. You've got a good job. You got a good head on your shoulder. You're funny as fuck. You're going places. You're not fucking unemployed. You got your own place. Think about it. She's like, there are gonna be plenty of girls in your fucking future. You just need to get over this and understand that it's okay to feel sick about this, and it's okay to cry about this, and that's all part of the scab coming on over the wound. And having it explained in those very simple and kind of, what would you call that? Homely terms was what I needed after that first big breakup. Hearing from somebody that I know has felt that sting and tell me that it doesn't last forever. You go on, you learn, it becomes a memory that you take with you wherever you go, and you learn from it. Well, I feel like when people suppress feeling those final emotions, that's what leads to some of these kind of dangerous situations, or really unhealthy, toxic situations, if not dangerous. You know what I mean? Like, on the dangerous side of things, stalking, which happens on both ends, right? We're not just talking about like dudes stalking women. Women stalk men, women stalk women, men stalk men. This idea of like not being able to let go sometimes becomes a pathology in people. And it expresses itself in this inability to just admit reality, where it's like that what you had with this person is over. If you ever had it at all, it's over. And like that's what I'm talking about. That's where the grief comes from, is in going like, it's the same. That's why it's the same kind of grieving process as when somebody dies, because eventually you have to admit, look, they're gone. They are a fucking ghost. They're gone. They're not coming back. You're never gonna have another conversation with them. You can't ask their opinion on anything ever again. They're gone. And that's where the grief comes from. And that's the same thing with a relationship. It's gone. It's not coming back. Any attempt to bring it back would be toxic and gross. And trust me, I'd have learned that the fucking hard way too. Man, I'll tell you guys that fucking shit. And thank goodness I fucking stood up for myself. So I got broken up with, right? And at this point in time, in the past, in this first relationship, and this is the first real adult relationship I was in, I had been given cause to be suspicious that this person was cheating on me. But suspicion, in my mind, does not equal the truth. And I was a little blinded by the person that I thought she was, rather than allowing myself to see who she really was. So I had some warning flags, let's put it that way. It was never explicitly fucking shown to me that she was cheating on me, but there were some warning signs about this. And then she broke up with me after years and years of us cohabitating and shit, after being engaged. Thank goodness we weren't married yet. And she left, and I was devastated, and I was hurt and haunted by it, and I did not want to let her go, and I didn't stalk her, but I kept in my mind that there might be something salvageable between us. And she was taking this, I want to be friends with you tact, I don't want to lose that, and I was definitely not there, but that gave me contact with her that I thought would eventually spring forward into a relationship. And eventually it did. Eventually we started fucking around again. She started sleeping over again. And one day she called me and said, we need to talk. And I was like, okay. And we weren't living together at the time, so I went over to where she was staying at the time. And she told me, I cheated on you. And I was like, okay. And she was like, because, I see this fucking shit starting back up between us. And I don't want to go into this with the fucking conscience or whatever the fuck. So I want you to know why I left. And that's why I fucking left, because I fucked around on you. And I was like, okay. And you got to understand, this is after months of me puppy dogging after her. And I said, okay, how many times? Was it one time? Was it 50 times? I mean, what are we talking about here? And she looked at me and she said, I'll never fucking forget it. She said, can we just say several and leave it at that? And I managed to keep the stone face. My heart broke in my chest for the final time. And I said, yeah, we can leave it at several. I got in my car and went home, and that was it. So we can leave it at several. I got the fuck up out of there. It's painful, but it is what it is, dude. I mean, what do you want to... Like, a lot of people go through shit like that. And at the very least, to her credit, I don't judge her for what she did, looking back on it all these years later. We were both young people. And to her credit, she told me about it. She lied to me about it for a long time, but after she broke up with me and then we started messing around again and it started looking like feelings were still there and shit, she didn't want to fucking carry that burden of all that shit she did to me. So she didn't tell me explicitly who and how she'd fucked around, but she told me she'd fucked around with multiple people, and that was all it took for me to go like, okay, bye. And I went home and I cried it off, and that was the end of that goddamn fucking relationship. But that's what it took for it to end. It was like 6 months of limbo agony that ended in me getting all my hopes up, thinking like we were getting back together, and then car crash. But at least it was a fucking truthful, useful one for me, because if she hadn't have told me that, we would have gotten back together and she probably would have fucked around on me. I might have married her. We might have had a kid together. Who knows what would have fucking happened? No, she didn't say it to be mean. She wasn't trying to fuck on me. She didn't want to tell me how many people she'd fucked while she was with me the first time. She was ashamed of it. And probably didn't want to hurt my goddamn motherfucking feelings. I still to this day don't know that number, although I do know some of the people that she fucked around with. Like, I found out after all of this shit.
But, I mean, she was probably coming from an honest place. There are some people that move past cheating and continue in a relationship.
I think she knew that I wasn't going to. That's why she had me come out there. Because she put it, that was her way of putting a final fucking end to it. Because she'd been with me long enough to know that, like, maybe her fucking around or fucking up or slipping up and getting drunk and fucking a dude or somebody else or a chick one time or something and not telling me, or even twice over the course of our fucking relationship. We could have talked about that shit at that time in my life. At this time in my life, zero. You know what I mean? But at that time in my life, I would have been willing to go like, all right, well, fuck it. It's been 6 months since we've been together. Let's put everything on the fucking table here and let's see. I would have been amenable, let's say at that point, to go like, we can continue this talk. But when she said it was several, to me that implies constant deception throughout our relationship. And I was like, I can't abide that. That's like touching the hot stove again. And I was like, all right. You know what I mean? And come to find out, it was true. Like, after the fact, you learn a lot of things. And there was pretty much not very long in the entirety of our relationship, which lasted for 5 years, that she was faithful to me. Or not 5 years, 4 years. So. And once again, when I say faithful, I mean operating within the agreed upon norms of the relationship. I don't like the word faithful. So, like, had we had a more open relationship where we dated other people, right, obviously this wouldn't have been an issue. But I was operating under the assumption that we were a monogamous couple, that we were sexually exclusive with one another, and that was what we were going for. And that's what she wanted as well. That's not what she wanted, And I had to find out the hard, long way, But having been through that, and then having obviously the benefit of a lot of time for that wound to heal, and a lot of introspection into what my part in that was, because believe it or not, when you're in a relationship with somebody that cheats, it's not just about them being fucked up. I know everybody wants to paint a villain in every relationship and maybe get some kind of fucking but if you really want to understand what went on in a relationship where you were cheated on, you have to look at what you did as well and what you provided and didn't provide, because nobody cheats in a fucking vacuum. I'm not saying that I wouldn't have been cheated on had I acted better in this way. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I contributed to the situation with my own ignorance. There were warning signs that I chose to ignore. And there were negativities that I contributed to our relationship that probably made it easier for her to step outside of that relationship and go behind my back.
It's really cheating isn't just fucking sexual desire. It has to be backed up by some kind of unfulfilled need in your
There are people who are called nymphomaniacs. Yeah. And for those people, cheating is not related to any kind of fucking problem in the other person. That is just an uncontrollable desire to fuck different people.
But that's a rare pathology. That doesn't
absolutely fucking fundamentally rare. Yeah. So unless you dated a nymphomaniac, which this person I don't have no reason to believe that she was, then you have culpability in what happened in that relationship, even if you never laid a finger on another person. You don't have full culpability. You don't have to take your equal piece of the pie on that shit, but you do got to take your equal piece of the pie on everything else in the relationship and see how it relates to that cheating. Nothing is black and white in fucking relationships. That's why it's so hard for people to talk about them and describe the end of them to people. And why I warned you at the beginning of this that there are two narratives to every fucking breakup story. You know what I mean? If you were sitting here with my ex, she would probably tell you a litany of shit about me.
Like, oh, I cheated because of X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Or something. Or...
Paul would fucking disappear into his own mind for fucking days. And he would sit in front of his computer and just play video games and would be completely unavailable and unreachable for fucking days. And there would be days and days and days that would go by that he would be so prickly that I couldn't even fucking... And you got to understand, these are things I know about myself now. When I was in my 20s, they were more pronounced. Mm-hmm. They still exist in me. These are still parts of my personality that I've worked very hard to knock the rough edges off of and be honest about up front with people. Because some parts of these things are immutable parts of my personality or parts of how my psychology defends itself. And some of it was shit that I could work on. And the communication end of it was definitely something I could work on. Honey, I'm not checked out because I'm mad at you. I'm not checked out. I know for the last couple of days I've been fucked off. It has nothing to do with you, baby. I'm so sorry, but I just have been fucking dealing with shit. That's what I do now. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Instead of just disappearing for 2 days or disappearing for half a week. And then see, once you get into that cycle of I disappear, and when I say disappear, I don't mean like leave town, you understand? I mean disappear into my own head. Disappear from the relationship in some way in the eyes of that person. Now, once I explain that I'm not disappearing from the relationship, see, I never communicated that in the past because I didn't know it about myself. And so I thought I have every right to fucking disappear in myself, you know, because she would come and talk, like these things would become fights, right? And I would feel attacked because by the time that it would become a fight, it would come out like, all you do is fucking sit and play video games. And that's not what she meant. Mm-hmm.
She meant that she felt lonely or whatever.
But that's what I took.
Yeah.
I took it as, fuck you, I work all the fucking time. All I do is sit and play video, you know what I mean? And that's how the fight would develop. Right? And it was all about misconception and miscommunication. That's why I said earlier on, once again, that miscommunication is the main culprit behind all of my breakups. All of them. All of the failed relationships in my past. And that's why I said communication is so fucking important. Because something like me having a psychology that needs time to recharge and needs to be off on its own can be misconstrued as Paul doesn't want me. Paul's not interested in me. He doesn't love me. Paul is cheating. Paul is, doesn't want this relationship anymore. There's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with him. All of these things, right? If I don't talk about it, me just disappearing fundamentally and emotionally could be misconstrued in all of those ways and a number of other ones that I'm not thinking of. Yeah, but if I talk to the person that I'm with about what's going on with me during that time, either before or after, they don't have a misconstrued notion of what it means in their pocket. As long as they take me at my word that it doesn't have to do with them. I've always been this way. Been this way since I was a little kid. I was fucking social butterfly number one 90% of the time when I was a little kid. And that 10% of the time I would disappear and my mom would get all worried about me. And my dad would get all worried about me. And they'd talk to me, what's wrong with you, PJ? What's wrong with you? Why don't you want to go out? Why don't you want to do anything? Are you sick? Are you sick? Are you feeling okay? You feeling okay? And at that time I would just tell them, like, I don't know. I just don't want to go. I just don't want to be out on a picnic right now. I just don't want to go outside and play. I want to fucking sit in here, not fucking, but you get my drift. Like when I was a little kid, I would say that. I didn't know how to fucking express that, like, Mom, Dad, my personal complex psychology needs some time where I'm not in the midst of human drama. It feels like recharging my batteries almost, and I need some time to myself. Mom, Dad, I'm an ambivert. And some days I'm very antisocial, and some days I'm very openly, overly social, and I can vacillate along that scale, Mom and Dad. I'm an ambivert, and some days I don't feel like going out. Some days my mental illness, Mom and Dad, that I don't even know exist yet, but I'm already suffering from, makes it hard for me to get out of bed. It makes it hard for me to want to go and talk to people. And I feel like I need to fucking just recuperate by being alone for a little while, mom and dad. I couldn't do that. And so constant misconstrue. It's the same thing in a fucking relationship. If you're brooding and angry all the time, I don't care who you are. Eventually, if you're in a relationship with that person, you're going to feel like that is because of you. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean, Z. By the way, while I've got you in here and I know you're in here, can I fucking hit you up and look at some dates and shit and like I don't know what needs to. I know you're a busy fucking guy and shit. I know I'll hit you up in private, but I just want to let you know, like, I'm at a point now where I'm fully vaxxed up and shit. I'm still all about masks and shit indoors, so you don't gotta worry about me with that. But I just, like, now I can travel is what I'm saying. And so I'll hit you up, man. I don't know exactly what the best place to hit you up would be is what I'm kind of asking. You just let me know that and I'll do that. But I want to try and talk about some, get some work done with you and all that shit. Pricing it out. Getting some ink. Some INK. I've got, you don't have to tell me, you don't have to reveal your social media shit in here. I've got you on all the social media. Just what's the easiest way? Dope.
You just got to reinstall your Instagrams.
Yeah, well, I've got it on the computer.
Yeah.
So I'll hit you up, man. Thank you. Good to know. I'll do that soon, too, because I understand that shit fills up quick. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na, tat time. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na, tat time. Finally. All right. Let's go. I'm excited, man. Paul, any advice for a guy like me with autism who is getting a good following on music but still has depression? No. Other than to get some help. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't have autism, number one, so I can't really relate anything there. And number two, depression is such a wide dysfunction that so get help. And I know that sounds trite and shit, and like I'm kind of brushing off your fucking concerns and shit, but that's what helped me. I didn't get better. And when I mean better, I don't mean free of symptoms, because that doesn't exist in a mentally ill person's life. I'm not cured, but I got better at contextualizing my mental illness and better as a person, because I spent like 3 years and change sitting on a couch across from a counselor, delving into my fucking mind and learning how it works and learning the things in my past that had happened to me and how they affected how I looked at the world and all that shit.
There's never a complete fucking return to normal.
And there's never an easy way either. Yeah. You have to go and fucking have some hard talks with your doctor. You got to take medications and find out the right ones for you. And you got to find out what it is with you exactly and what it is you need to do. And for some people, that means you got to go be on meds. And for some people, that means you got to be on meds and you got to be in counseling. And for some people, just counseling. I can't know what the perfect fucking, I'm not a doctor, that's why, but I'm just telling you, man, if you're suffering from this, you need to look at your options, reach out and get some fucking help for it. 100%. Thank you, Chris McDougal, for the $10. If I didn't, thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, you can say share honestly, but that's part of why it took 3 years on the couch and change for me. Because people that have mental illness are oftentimes locked down in their ability to discuss it. And I was one of those people for a very long time. I didn't know how to discuss what was happening to me. I didn't even know if it was real or if I was just lazy or if I was just wrong or if I was just fucked up. Or if I was just this, or if I was that, or if I was fucking a psychopath, or a paranoid, or what I was. I just had all this self-diagnosis shit rumbling around in my head, and a lot of it terminated at, you don't have anything, you're just a fuck up. Which is all negative self-talk that's indicative of fucking severe clinical depression. And I had to go get fucking officially, fully fucking diagnosed with that shit by people that knew what they were talking about. In order for those people to know what they were talking about, they had to talk to me for like a year. And then send me to the appropriate fucking other people. So it was not an easy like road getting my diagnosis. And then once I knew what was wrong with me, and when I say wrong with me, let me take that back. Once I knew what my disorder was, then came the work of learning how to operate within that disorder and to be better. I, for example, need special counseling for emotions and trauma. As an autist, there are just things I don't know how to process. Right. Everybody's like that, though. Autistic or no, everybody needs individual care when it comes to mental illness. Everybody's different. Was it CBT-based therapy? So cognitive behavioral therapy? No. I actually asked that of the doctor that I ended up working with for all those years the first time I met him as an adult. I said, so do you use CBT? Because I had gone to other counselors who were hardcore into this cognitive behavioral therapy, and he looked right at me and he said, no. He said, there are some principles in cognitive behavioral therapy that we may use together, but I don't practice it. And I said, good. Because it doesn't work. You know what I mean? You think of something else when you hear CBT? What? Cock and ball torture? Dun 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 dun. Well, see, you hate CBT, but it works for a lot of people. For a lot of people, that's what, helps them. More effective than the other CBT. I mean, depends on what your problem is. Whoa.
What?
Like I heard a cat like, meow.
Like I said, that mama's kitten is a little adolescent now.
Oh boy. Man, we got a whole ass fucking wild kingdom in our backyard.
Yeah.
Baby foxes, fucking adolescent kittens, goddamn eagles. Well, no eagles, hawks. All I need now is like a family of cute little wild pot-bellied pigs.
Yeah. I miss those armadillos for sure.
Yeah, the dills.
Those were pretty cute.
Hell yeah, dude. There's just no dillos where we're at. Of course, your parents would be worried if you acted strange. You're one of their only children they'll ever have. A parent's worst nightmare would be to see their kid end up in a horrible state. Of course. No, I wasn't saying my parents were wrong. I was talking about how I couldn't articulate to them. I was using that as an example to parallel relationships. So when I was a child in that relationship with my parents, I didn't have the tools linguistically or psychologically to express to them what I needed or why I needed it, or how it affected me. And now I do, and I've done that with my partner and wife. She knows what I know about me. Maybe not all of it, but if she asks me a question that I know, I answer it honestly. And and I was able to preclude a lot of her feeling bad about this, that, or the other thing by being honest with her about the way that I cycle. Which is, there are days where I'm very fucking gregarious and I want to be around people a lot, but most of the times I want to be by myself. Maybe not all the time by myself, but I got to spend some time during the day doing my own fucking shit. If I don't, I go a little wacky. And once I explain that to people, I found they tend to understand and not misunderstand or misinterpret my proclivities as something that is negative about them. And so they don't turn it inward.
You definitely become more flexible about it too, than you probably were in the past.
Well, definitely. And that's probably as a result of the health of our relationship and you being so accepting of me no matter how I'm feeling that day. That is one of the most beautiful things about us that I would fucking defend with everything. Is that and we're that way with each other, and that's my favorite thing about us, is that we don't judge each other. We don't misconstrue each other, and we don't fucking make assumptions about one another. If there's an issue, we ask. If there's an issue that we perceive building, one of us talks about it, and we have a talk, and we understand it coming out. And that's, you have no idea how fucking important that is to hold on to. Well, I'm not saying you don't, I'm just saying in general. That's like the bedrock. Trust and a mutual sense of acceptance and being kind to one another above everything else. That's something I learned from my counselor. He would tell me at the end of every session, be kind to yourself. That's how he would end it. He'd say, I'll see you next time. Until then, be kind to yourself. And one day I had a particularly rough session with him because he would pick at me. Not in a mean way, but to try and get me to talk. And I had a particularly rough session. And he told me one day as I was leaving his office, he said, be kind to yourself. And I wheeled around on him. I said, you know what? I know our fucking thing is over, but the next time we talk, I want to talk about this be kind to yourself shit. Because I don't know who taught you that that's a thing to say to somebody, but nobody says that to nobody, and I don't even know what it means. He was like, all right, we'll talk about it. Until then, please try and be kind to yourself. He doubled down. I was like, God damn it. All right. I'll see you next time. And the next time I came in, obviously I wasn't as hot as I was. And I kind of came in almost apologetically. And I was like, sorry, I popped off on you. And he's like, no, that's good. Let me explain to you what it means. And he went through it. And he told me, it's something that I've introduced with people just through the act of telling them to do it. But now that you've confronted me about it, let's talk about being kind to yourself and what it means. And he explained it to me. And I won't go through the whole fucking goddamn thing with you. But let's just say that when it comes to dealing with yourself and to dealing with the people that you love the most, the people that are closest with you, that you've thrown your lot in with, kindness is king. If you're fucking mean and hard towards each other, it's over. Not right then, but I'm just saying, if that becomes the balance of how you deal with one another in conflict, is meanness, hardness, disregard for each other's feelings, building up these wells of animosity and poisonous fucking feelings against one another, so that it comes out in the form of hurtful language and shit. That's what kills a fucking relationship. That's it. Honesty, loyalty, open communication. That's it. Them's the secrets in my world. Better watch out, cricket. Not cricket in there, cricket out here. I only hear one or two, and there's going to be some cute little hunters out there zeroing in on them chirps with them big ears to hone in right where they're at.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. I'm going to grab a drink. Oh, yeah. Grab that. Wow. I have a king's thirst. A king's thirst for the frosty brew.
Oh, yeah. I think I found a humidifier, so we can talk about that later, too.
Cool. Yeah.
It is a dry-ass place here.
Yes. Both of us have developed a profound, not just smoker's cough since we got here, because we moved from one of the wettest places in the world to one of the driest. So it's definitely like, and my mom lives in the same climate, and she's got a perpetual cough from it. So it's just like, a lot of that is just lack of humidity in the air at all. Just bone dry butt air. So yeah, us getting a nice big fucking humidifier will be good.
It is also butt air in general.
Wow. Do you use that's what we're talking about. We're talking about humidifiers. Yes, we have a humidifier that we use, but it's pretty small for the size of the room that we sleep in.
Yeah, and it was one that like your sister loaned us when we first got here.
She gave it to us.
Yeah, not loaned us, but it's like it's a hand-me-down.
Yeah.
Humidifier.
Yeah. She overheard us complaining about like waking up with dry noses and coughs and stuff, and she was like, "Oh, you just need a humidifier." And she gave us one that she used, I think, for one of the kids.
Yeah, but it's like one of those,
but it's
like, when you're sick, humidifiers that you put the...
You're supposed to put it, like, right next to you when you're sick or whatever. It's not, like, one that's...
shit in it and all that.
Yeah, it's not something that's supposed to, like, humidify a whole room while you sleep really well, especially not a larger room, so... We're looking into getting something that's big enough and strong enough to actually pump some humidity into the air so that we're not waking up with these dry coughs and shit. Which are so typical of people that live in this fucking area.
And we also just spend a lot of time outside,
too. Yeah, we smoke, too. I mean, like, you gotta understand, there's smoker's cough, and then there's, like, the dry post-nasal cough that comes with dirty, dry air. Yeah. And we do spend a lot of time sitting outside, which, how could you not? Especially this year. Holy fuck. It's been beautiful this year.
I know, like, I eventually turned on the AC today, but not until, like, 4 o'clock.
Yeah, and it wouldn't even need to be on now. It was just, like, didn't... Oh, whoa. Little moth.
Please.
Please, moth. Moth, please. Oh.
That moth is probably going to get hit, too, by something. Maybe not the foxes, but the birds.
It's the circle of life, man. Come live in Scotland, nice and humid there. What do you mean, come live in Scotland, and then you say nice and humid there? Don't you mean here, laddie? It looks ghetto, but I use a 5-gallon humidifier I made for my snake room. 5-gallon bucket, computer fan. I mean, yeah, I'm sure it works just fine. I'm gonna get a big room humidifier. So. Peewee, I mean, like, yeah, dude, you're MacGyver. I'm not. I'm gonna buy a big industrial type humidifier and use it in my room when I sleep. Self-made stuff is the best made stuff. Cool. If you hate warm weather, Scotland's a great place to be. 75 degrees there is like 100 for us. Oh, hi, laddie.
But what's the cold? We don't like cold either.
Yeah, what's the fucking cold temperature like, laddie? From what I remember, the snows are pretty thick up there in Scotland, eh? You're talking to me like I don't understand that there are two different kinds of weather to worry about, laddie. You can sell me on heat, or you gotta sell me on the fucking cold, too. Blump and banned. You wouldn't be long getting frostbite. That's right. That's right. You'll be frostbite right on your balls. I play harmonica now. I wish I played bagpipe. I love like that note that sustains behind constantly. It's, I was like,
that fucking Lair the White Worm fucking bagpipe.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys haven't seen that. That's worth it.
It's worth checking out.
It's bad, but it's
kind of so bad it's good. No, it's not the best impersonation of a bagpipe, dude. I heard a dude that did it with his nose. He was like, you know, like he was way better at it than that, but that's a better one there. Bagpipes trigger my disgust sensitivity. Really? No, bagpipes are fucking, you know, I wouldn't want to listen to them all the goddamn time, but they're pretty fucking dope, dude. You can rock out on a goddamn bagpipe. Make a guitar sound like that if you use a penny for a pick and pick right at the fret. Yeah. I love all the different weird shit you can do with guitars, especially electric guitars. My stepdad, he's not like fucking Jimi Hendrix or anything, but he can actually shred on a guitar. I don't know how well he does it anymore because he's lost a lot of his hearing, unfortunately, and I'm sure that precludes a lot of it. But back when I was growing up, dude could play some fucking electric guitar, and he knew how to do all those, you know,
I don't even know if the hearing would necessarily make him bad. I just don't know if it'd be pleasant for him to
That's what I'm saying. He used to go plug his headphones into his amp and sit on top of his amp when I was a kid and just wail, you know. And it's like now he's got hearing aids. It's probably not as easy for him to do that. Peter Frampton noises. Yeah, I'd have a wah-wah pedal thing that he'd fucked with. Wow, 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 wow. Gotta love wah-wahs. Go with it now. Wow, wow. The voice box, yeah. He was cool. He taught me to play guitar. I don't play very well, but I can pick around on guitar a little tiny fucking bit. What little tiny fucking bit I can pick around, I learned from him. He taught me how to play the basic line for "Wish You Were Here" from Pink Floyd. The down 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 down. It's like I got good enough to play that in a very fucking basic way, but never played with any proficiency. I don't even know if I could pick up a guitar and do it now. In high school, I could do that shit. playing a tuning nobody except me plays and is aware of. Oh, damn. Look at you. We got a rebel without a cause. Pop your collar, James Dean. Woo-hoo! You invented a new guitar tuning, buddy. I don't know. I'm just fucking on you. I can play better than Jimi Hendrix, but that's only because he's dead. Damn. That's too soon? Is that what I want to say? Too soon? But I can't play guitar well. I just got done telling you that I can pick around on guitar a little bit, and I used to do it a lot more back in high school than I do now, so I'm not the guy. You're better off like putting that exact question you asked me into Google and hitting enter and following the first link that isn't an ad. Like I just got done telling you the only song I can play or used to be able to play with any even basic proficiency was Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd. That does not a guitar teacher make. I don't even own a guitar, no. If you master an instrument, what would it be? Piano? Well, yeah, I mean, if you know how to play piano, you know how to play keyboard, which means you have the basic ability to play like a guitar, or at least a foot in the door. Yeah, I knew a girl once I was really good friends with that was a cello player, and she's a really accomplished cello player. Things got weird between us when she copped feelings and I didn't have them. This was like in college. You know, I was definitely on the friendship tip, and she was on the wanted more than that. And when I shut that down, she didn't want to be around me anymore. And that kind of sucked. But it'll happen. I wish I would have learned keys. I would have a better understanding of theory, probably. Yeah, I have no excuse either. My parents put me in fucking piano lessons when I was a kid because I asked, presumably, or because they wanted to give me a shot at it or whatever. And they had not a great piano, but it was like one of those wall pianos. I don't know how to. What are they called? You know, it's not like a grand piano or a baby grand is that big flat piano that like, you know, somebody could lay on and sing Santa Baby, you know, like a hot chick could lay on and sing Santa Baby. And then there's like those ones that are like old timey, like pushed up against the wall, an upright piano. Yeah, we had an old upright piano in our house. It was old, but it was tuned, it was worked, and I could practice on that. This was like way back when I was a kid, before my parents' divorce and everything. So yeah, it's like that one of those ones that you sit at and it's kind of up against the wall, upright. Yeah. Paul, the ladies' man. No, not really. I've been playing guitar since I was about 10, but I didn't really get serious about learning until the past couple of years. Cool. Piano skills can translate to percussion instruments too. Oh yeah, well there's a lot of that. Rhythm is essential in piano, so. Hot cross buns. How about some heart and soul? Dun 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 ding ding. Or it's ding ding ding. Dee 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 dee. Dee. Dee 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 dee. Chopsticks. Ring ding 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 ding. Ring ding 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 ding. Ring ding 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 ding. Chopsticks. That's a different chopsticks than you know? That's chopsticks, so you don't know chopsticks then. There's not like two chopsticks. That's a tune. Did you ever play? Oh yeah, we had recorders in elementary school. Yeah, yeah. We didn't have colorful ones. Ours were all like tan, and they all looked the same. And each kid was given one at the beginning of the year. He had to turn it in at the end of the year, and they cleaned them and gave them to the next batch of kids. You learned "Good King Wenceslas." That was the song I liked the most. The you know, yeah. I got good at it. I could play "Good King Wenceslas" pretty fucking dope on the recorder. And if you've never heard somebody wail on the recorder, I recommend that you look it up. It is a very simplistic, easy to learn the basics of instrument. That's why it's a lot of kids' first introduction to playing an instrument. But listen to somebody that plays the recorder with proficiency. Somebody that plays woodwinds. I mean, they can do some crazy fucking shit on the motherfuckers. So don't underestimate any goddamn instrument. Anybody plays an instrument proficiency, they're gonna be able to knock your dick in the dirt with it. Oh man, Zach, I'm so glad that I was out of high school or getting towards the end of high school and that Ocarina of Time shit came out, because I saw all the dorky little kids running around with ocarinas and shit. This was after, of course, I'd graduated and I was working at Blockbuster and shit. And dorky little kids would walk in with that blue ocarina. You know exactly what I'm talking about, too. That blue ocarina that had the Zelda fucking logo on it. You know what I mean? And I would want to, like, I got to be honest with you, I'm not a violent person, but I wanted to slap every one of those kids. What I would do is just ring them up for their fucking rental of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time or whatever it was they were renting that night. But I wanted to hit them. I would not punch him hard, but just give him a like. Dude, people can wail on the recorder. I'm not even joking, but not a lot of people play the recorder as a primary instrument. A lot of the people that can wail on a recorder, play other woodwinds. But yeah, no, dude, I defer to your fucking. You were in an orchestra for fucking 10 years on bass and cello. You know a lot more than I know. Go play, dude. Oh man, that song. I wonder if a dude has ever gotten laid by playing the Song of Storms on an ocarina. I wonder if that's ever happened. It probably has, right? You did? Oh, Marshall. Wow, you play that so well, haha. Just like Link. Blushy smiley face. Kind of makes me droplets emoji. I'm sorry. Was that too much to share?
No, that's okay. My ocarina
often does that to ladies. I bet it does. Thanks for cleaning up the trolls civil yeah, for sure, dude. For sure, Spencer. I mean, I hate for you to think that I'm a slut, but I don't know. You want to mess around tonight? Oh, I'm sorry. I just can't. I have a previous engagement. Me and the old ocarina, we never settled down in one place for very long. Oh, God. You're always gonna be the one that got away. Yeah. I know that you can handle an ocarina, but have you got the Master Sword? Not only that, but I have the Mirror Shield as well. Epona, come to me. Do 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 do. It's probably happened, yo. Seems odd that Paul would know so much about a game he's never played. Gasp. I've watched Let's Plays of the game and speed runs of the game. I've never played through the game. You need TJ's guy to animate this. It's got to be a dude that looks like McLovin. You know what I mean? Like if that guy's still alive, I don't know if he fucking killed himself or whatever yet, but if McLovin is still out there, I would like to get him to play this character in the sketch. Tribute to the Spectres for their diligence. Even though I got banned for something, their work shines bright. Even I can't deny it. That's right. Well, thank you for that. I'll make sure to pass it along to them. Not. I can play the Song of Storms on the ocarina. Shut the fuck up, McLovin. God. I don't even have a pussy and you're making my pussy dry. What? Fuck you guys. I love that movie. Guy who played McLovin was in that horrible Fright Night remake. I don't think the Fright Night remake was horrible, but I don't remember him being in it. I think the Fright Night remake actually at least tried to do something different than the '80s movie. It didn't try and be a shot-for-shot remake, and it wasn't a poor in tone either. Like it was a good tone difference from the original film, and I don't think it was a bad movie. I haven't seen Role Models, and I don't want to see Role Models. I got enough of that type of movie dynamic, whatever it is, when I watched two films. Both of them are pretty funny. Dodgeball and Step Brothers. That's all I need of that. I like those movies. Those movies are funny, but that's all I need of that. You see. Oh, you're so fucking cool, Brewster. Shut up, evil. Don't call me evil. Yeah, I know. That's why I haven't seen Role Models. Thank you. Next. No one makes me bleed my own blood. Dude, that scene, I just love, like, look, dude, I understand some people can't get into it, but the puerile man humor in Step Brothers is undeniably fucking hilarious to me. It's just so fucking. I'm gonna put my nuts on your drum set shit. I don't care who you are, that shit's fucking hilarious. Did you touch my drum set? What? No. Because one of my drumsticks has a chip in it that wasn't there before, is all I'm saying. Listen, I didn't touch your stupid fucking drum set, okay? Been watching Shark Week. You're a fucking goddamn liar. Oh, you think I'm a liar? I'm gonna go put my fucking nuts on your drum set. No, you're not. You better not put your fucking nuts on my drum set, Dale. Fucking nuts on my. He pulls his balls out, flops them on the drums. No! Oh, man, I love that movie. The movie's great. I don't remember all those lines. I just kind of like approximated them. I've been sitting here watching Cops. Oh, that's weird because there's a chip in one of my drumsticks that wasn't there before. Yeah, that is weird. Did you touch my fucking drum set? What? Did you touch my fucking drum set? They talked about Step Brothers 2 for a while, but I think they were past that possibilities. Yeah, I mean, you can. How does that sequel work? The whole idea is that they individuate at the end and they stay friends, but they find their own lives. Like, how do you do Step Brothers 2? My favorite line from that movie is, I got a belly full of white dog crap in me, and you lay this shit on me? Oh, fuck. Lick that white dog crap. Just let us go, man. I'll let you go after you lick that white dog crap. No! Every time I come, I produce their chords. I love that little argument they have about fancy sauce the first day that they move in. Where, like, yeah, you know, when Dale's done, make sure that you get a little bit of fancy sauce. It's just ketchup and mayo mixed together. And Dale's sitting there with the fancy sauce, and he ladles like an absurd amount very slowly onto his plate. And it's like slowly getting more and more of the fancy sauce is going on the plate. And the other dude is like, I want some fancy sauce. You can't have this. This is my fancy sauce. You don't get any fucking fancy sauce because this is my fancy sauce. It's so fucking. Yeah, I would really like some. Well, you can't have any because you're a fucking dick. I can't remember what he says. I just love that movie. They sell mayo chup now, yeah. That's what it is, dude. It's fancy sauce. I gotta get a bottle of that mayo chip and try it out one of these days. I'm gonna get some mayo chip and put it on my fries. And dip my nuggies in some mayo chip. If I want some fancy sauce. The job interviews are great. I just love their relationship. Like, both of the actors in that movie are really funny dudes. You know what I mean? And they play well off of each other. They're just great, you know? Like, their dynamic over the movie and how it shifts and changes is really funny. And I love the brother, too. The douchebag brother that gets laid a lot and has kids and has a good job, whose wife ends up falling in love with Dale. And he's like fucking her on the sly or whatever. John C. Reilly is underrated, very talented dude, yeah. I heard their Sherlock Holmes was bad, didn't see it though, I haven't seen it either. I love that. I can't remember what they say to each other, but I love that scene where they're laying next to each other in the bed and they're whispering death threats to each other. I'm gonna fucking kill you. I'm gonna wait till you go to sleep. And then I'm gonna fucking come over there and I'm gonna slit your throat with this knife that I've got over here. Oh yeah. Well, I'm gonna wait till you go to sleep. And I'm gonna come over there and I'm gonna fucking punch you in the face until you die. You won't be able to do that because I will slit your throat because you will fall asleep before me. Because you're weak. I'm gonna fill a pillowcase up full of bars of soap and beat the. Yeah, that is one of the lines. I'm gonna fill a pillowcase up with bars of soap. And I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. Oh man, I love that fucking movie. Oh shit. Dale's actually a retired Reed Rothschild from Boogie Nights who has a mental breakdown from his 80s fall. I did not. Wow. Boats and hoes, dude. I never knew. Movie is Step Brothers. Whatever, man. Oh. Snap, crackle, pop. Oh. He's burying me alive. Please don't bury me alive. Shut the fuck up. You fucking idiot. And die in your grave. Oh no. I don't want to be buried alive. I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm not dead. I'm alive. Shut the fuck up. You're dead. I'll be a dead body in the grave. Shut up. Man, fucking that movie's great. I'll have to watch me that movie. I'll have to pop that movie on. Use one of those fake hearing devices so far up your ass you're gonna hear The sound of your small intestines as it produces shit. Yeah. Oh, I love it, dude. Yeah, I'm gonna watch me some movie, dude. I'm gonna watch me some movie one of these days. I'm gonna throw that one on in the rotation. Man, I don't know if you guys got to finish that Michael Fields talk from the earlier Highdeology from earlier this morning, but goddamn, dude, I finished that shit. That was so good. He's still so fucking on top of things. Dude, I'm telling you, you want to understand a little piece about me and how my brain works, that is one of my fucking mentors right there. That's one of the people in my past that swooped me up at a time where I was kind of directionless and helped me hone my craft. Yeah, pretty cool shit. John C. Reilly's been in a lot of shit. He's a great actor, not just a comedic actor either. Like a triple threat type actor. Did you get a time sorted out to chat with the Ann Prim guy? No. I don't remember even what. Oh, you're talking about the dude from the chat? No. Is there a comedy movie that you crack the fuck up at that's generally not considered a great movie, but you love it anyways? Black Sheep. Like, a lot of people think that Black Sheep is an inferior Tommy Boy, but I actually like Black Sheep a little more than Tommy Boy. That's a controversial opinion. But as a movie that, you know, having gone back and watched both of those movies, they're both fucking great, but I laugh a little fucking harder at Black Sheep than I do at Tommy Boy. Little roots. Oh, little roots, don't fail me now. Oh, Mother of God. Oh, shit, man. That's another one I gotta watch again. Dude, if I'm laughing this hard just remembering the goddamn movie. Little roots, oh please. Oh, little roots. You're so strong. Don't fail me. Oh, Mother of God. Oh, fuck, man. Yeah, his what is it? Matt Foley was the character, the van by the river guy. Dude, my favorite one of those was when he did it in Spanish. There was one where he was talking to us like a Spanish class, and he did it the same fucking way. He's like, "Me llamo Matt Foley. Soy un motivational speaker que vives en un camión cerca de la Rio." Matt Foley, dude. You gotta love him. I know what you're asking. Matt, how do I get myself back on the right track? Well, listen here, little buddy. Dude, he was a fucking treasure, man. What a tragedy. David Spade sitting there dressed like a girl trying not to laugh. You're wet. Oh, you got an attitude on you, little missy. Let me tell you something. I'll tell you something about adjusting his belt constantly. Like he was wrestling with it. Oh, fuck me, bro. That's always how he ended up falling through the table, was he'd get in a fight with his belt and like, oh, Mother Mary of God. Oh, holy shnikes. Boy, am I sorry about that. He's just wrestling with his belt. Oh, fuck me, man. Good shit. Oh, man. Laughter's the best medicine, isn't it? You won't be happy when you're living in a van down by the river. You won't be. All right, I gotta go. Have a good